Stay in the know and make your voice heard on different projects happening in your neighborhood and throughout Hillsborough County by visiting Hillsborough County's Engagement Hub, the online home for outreach and listening efforts. From parks and recreation projects to roadway improvement plans, your input plays an important role in shaping the future of Hillsborough County. So make your voice heard by visiting hcflgov.net/hcengage.
These are the jobs you may not see every day, but just know we're working hard to make Hillsborough County a better place to live, work, and play. Subscribe to our YouTube page for more great county-related videos, only on HTV.
Don't let mosquitoes ruin your day. Fight the bite by removing standing water on your property. Standing water of any kind is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Do your part and help reduce the mosquito population. For more tips and tricks, visit hcflgov.net/fightthebite.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners' public hearing on amendments to the Land Development Code. the board will hold the first public hearing on a proposed amendment to the Land Development Code this evening. Before I ask Development Services staff to introduce tonight's amendment, I'm going to read into the record from Commissioner Pat Kemp. Please be advised that I'm unable to attend the Thursday, October 19, 2023 LDC public hearing due to a scheduling conflict. Please read the reason for my absence into the record. And with that, staff want to introduce the first or the only amendment this evening.
Good evening. Israel Monsanto Development Services. Commissioners, this is the first public hearing for the Land Development Code text amendment. We have one item LDC 23913, Farm Worker Housing Development Standards. The intent of this text amendment is to promote the efficient development of farm worker housing and predictability in the development process. Development Services staff, in cooperation with the Hillsborough County Agricultural Economic Development Council, proposes modifications and clarifications to regulations from the Land Development Code. Section 61139 of the LDC will be amended with proposed changes to these standards. After the first changes to the farm worker housing standards were presented at the board workshop back on September 13th, staff conducted a public outreach meeting with members from the public and the industry, where we received input that resulted in additional tweaks and edits to these standards. In your agenda backup, the blue-color text represents the first changes presented at the workshop, and the red text are the changes that were made after the input we received in the public outreach meetings. And I will go through some of those latest changes. The latest changes include density calculations when dormitories are utilized to house farm worker houses, and this is in subsection C. The density will be calculated at 7 residents, equaling 1 unit. The code today calculates the number of residents at 3.75 as 1 unit. In farm worker housing projects, single-wide mobile homes units are typically utilized. These units house an average number of 7 workers. Therefore, by utilizing this number of workers as the equivalency for 1 unit for dormitories, the resulting overall density of workers is not changing. Additionally, the maximum density of 8 dwelling units per the acre for these facilities will still remain in place as regulated today. Parking requirements were also updated for dormitories, and this will require 1 space per 7 residents. Other edits were made to site requirements, and that's in subsection D of your backup. For the setback, for example, 2 additional scenarios were added to allow the location of internal project access driveways on required yards. These driveways would be permitted in the required yards if no other reasonable means of access exists to the site, or also to avoid impacts to environmentally sensitive areas. Sidewalks were also amended. These will be required to be constructed of different materials, including asphalt, concrete, or turf block pavers, and also it will be allowed to be constructed with packed shell, gravel, or similar stabilized materials that are Americans with Disability Act or ADA compliant. Additionally, a clear visual physical delineation between internal driveways and sidewalks in the form of a 5-foot wide grass or landscape strip would be required. And lastly, in subsection D7, a clarification was added. The first text edits presented last month only noted that conditional use and site development reviews could be filed concurrently. The latest edits now specify that both types of reviews can be processed concurrently and not only filed. In other words, it clarifies that an applicant can file a farm worker housing project conditional use permit and also file for site development reviews, and both permits can be processed at the same time by Development Services staff. And generally speaking, that concludes the latest changes done to this amendment.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add one bit, and it's for the benefit of the board and the stakeholders we're working with. There are some changes in subsection D7, and some changes shown in red that was a result of some stakeholder input. So we've made some changes to it, and we've since had some further conversations with them. The change was to be a little bit more specific of what could be provided, but upon reflection and further discussion, overall felt that it'd be beneficial that it be less specific and give more options and ways to address that. So we've had the discussion with some stakeholders, and the version that will come back for the adoption hearing will be more general in that subsection D7. And so I do want to say appreciate the input from our stakeholders and the assistance we've got with this amendment. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Pretty sure I know the answer to this, but this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak to the item? All right. Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I do want to thank you all for working so closely. This obviously impacts my district greatly, and the ag community, the growers, the cattlemen have just given rave reviews of the communication and the understanding they have now to better of a lot of the issues that we had as a county. So I just wanted to thank staff for working so hard and so closely with the folks in my district, and I'll move for approval.
All right, I think for this evening, this is the first public hearing. Yep, we don't
have to approve anything.
Yeah, we don't need any action. Adam, anything else we need to cover?
No, sir, that concludes our hearing tonight.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.